right, brethren, this should be an amazing study. I want to reveal what the original text that the Holy Spirit had John write originally, what it means in this verse, the last verse of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 15. And I'm going to go to the King James Version. We will base it off of that and then look up the original words. And let's see, I can get back out of here. So we have verse 15 at the bottom of Revelation 20. I highlighted it there at the bottom. We're going to be focusing on that. And realize that this is the King James Version right here, but we're going to go into the Textus Receptus Greek manuscripts of Revelation, the New Testament, and we're going to see what the original words are. We're going to be focusing on two words in this verse so we can better understand and make sure what it means. In light also of keeping in mind that in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, Apostle Paul described that if any man's works are burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. And the word through has to do with what we're going to be studying here. A lot of people say it's in fire, but there's a through aspect where you go in and you come out. We're going to study that and see if there's any explanation of that in this verse so we can understand exactly what whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Actually, the Holy Spirit meant to explain concerning that. So let's go with whosoever. We're going to look that word up first. So we have whosoever, okay? And we're going to go into here and see what it is. It says, Ietis. If you look at the bottom, the second line down, it's a transliteration. It's how to pronounce the Greek word Ietis. It's actually two different words. And if you go down to the Strong's definition, the Thayer definition, I don't think is as good as the Strong's. I would stick with the Strong's. But it does work in this case. But let's stick with the Strong's at the bottom there. It's from two different words, but it means if any. If any, okay? If any what? Now, if we keep reading past if any, there's a semicolon and a dash, which means this is how it's been translated in the King James. This isn't the definition, but this is how the King James translators translated it. He that, if any man, or man's thing, if any man's thing, from any ought, whether any whosoever. So there's a if any is the definition. So you need to figure out, is any what? What is the subject? It doesn't say what the subject is. So if any, that's what it means. You can't say if it's any people or things. It could be if any things, inanimate objects, or it could be if any people. So this word alone doesn't tell us. So we need to look at the context to see if it's talking about people or things, correct? And according to, 1 Corinthians chapter 3, it's talking about the works. Because it's the works that are thrown into the lake of fire. Obviously, the people go through the fire, right? So it'll burn up the works it's talking about, not the people. Now, let's go specific. We're going to go back to the original, back to the text here. So we have that. And if any was not found written in the book of life, it was cast into the lake of fire. If any what? Okay? Now let's look up the word cast. If it was cast into the lake of fire, well, let's see what cast means. So first, I'm going to hit the actual number here for the Strong's, and we're going to go in and see the Strong's references this word on top as cast. Ballo. See the second line down, transliterated ballo. Go down to the bottom, Strong's definition. Highlight it for you. Let's see. It's to throw. Okay, I'm going to highlight it. It's easier if I can get this to work. Okay, there we go. To throw. That's the definition right there. So we have a primary verb, to throw, violent or intense. So you're either violently throwing, okay, or intensely throwing. The like I said, after the semicolon and the dash, it only shows how it's been translated. It's not the definition. The arise, cast, eggs, dung, lay, lie, pour, put, send, strike, throw. That's how it's been translated in the King James Version. Okay, so we're not interested in that. We're interested in what the actual translation is of the word. So it's obviously cast. We saw that in the King James Version, but the word means to throw, which is the same thing basically. But let's look at the word again. It's ballo. Now let's look in the actual text, the Greek text, and see if it's the same word. We're going to find that it's not. That's the point of this. Down at the bottom here, I highlighted the word. That's what the word is in the text. It's not ballo, it's iblethe. And notice at the bottom, iblethe. There's no, and look around through the verse there, you'll see there's no, get that out there. See down at the bottom, fourth line up says 15. Okay, that's Revelation 20, verse 15. And you can look through all the words in the verse. I can highlight it too. So this is the verse 15 there, and we don't, tell me you see the word ballo anywhere in there. It's not in there. The point is, the word iblethe, right here, iblethe, is where the word ballo should be. And if we look it up to, see here, I clicked on the word, to throw, okay? The same word it refers to. And if you look down here, let's see if I can do it without clicking on it. I'm trying to highlight it for you so you can see it. It's not letting me do that. But if you look in the middle of the definition of the screen, after it says he tents, right under the word he tents, it says ballo. Okay? You see it? Ballo, just like we saw in the Strong's reference. But look at the word at the top. It's not ballo, it's iblethe. So what we do is we take this word iblethe, okay, and we copy it. Then we go to the Greek to English dictionaries, and we look it up. We directly translate it. Paste it in there, and now on the down here you'll see the Greek to English. See there now the Depot, Google, and Bing. Those are 3 different Greek to English dictionaries online, so you can click each one. A lot of times, 2 of them will be the same. One will be a little different on the translation. A lot of times it'll be all the same, but in this case, it's not the same. You're going to see. Well, let's start with the Google one, because Google is the most commonly used, and it's likely it has the most ability to look up different variations of words. Because remember, it was the word ballo, but this is iblethe. There's an E in front of the B, which is a grammatical addition they do to words in the Greek, depending on the how the word is set in the text. So it says it was found, okay? It was found. Now let's go back to the King James Version. And again, we compare ballo, right, to throw. Well, this says it was found. It wasn't thrown, it was found. But let's go back to the text. Bible. And it says, in the bottom 3 lines, the book of life was found in the lake of fire. So whatever or whoever was not found written in the book of life was found in the lake of fire. Okay, so there's found in. Now what's the other translations? Let's look up being now. Imposed in the lake of fire. Imposed in the lake of fire. Let's go back to that. Imposed. Here we go. So we have found and we have imposed. Okay. So whosoever, whatever was not found written in the book of life was imposed into the lake of fire. Imposed is when you go against your will. It's against your will. Look up the word. I was going to do that on this video, but we can understand that. When you impose something, you're overriding their will and you're imposing on them, right? Imposing them to be found in the lake of fire. So if we combine the definitions, we get a better understanding. So imposed into the lake of fire and found in the lake of fire. Okay, now what's the third one? Let's look up the third one. And we'll go to the deeple. There we go. That's the first one actually on there. Retrieved from. That's very interesting. Retrieved from the lake of fire. Okay, let's go there. And whosoever or whatever was not found written in the book of life was retrieved from the lake of fire. Isn't that interesting? Doesn't that, that's what Apostle Paul explains in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, that even it's, I'll say it again, it says, and I'll look the verse up for you, yeah. Oh, yeah, we could just go straight to it. 1 Corinthians 3. It's toward the bottom. Okay, here we go. 15 on the top of the screen here. If any man's work shall be burned, he will suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. But the word by is dia, which is, see Strong's definition, a primary preposition denoting the channel of an act through the channel of, or through. It says through. Okay, so through is the best translation of that word. And so let's, through the lake of fire. Let's go back to the text. Verse 15 at the top. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire, but it's more accurately translated through fire. So if you go through, you go in and you come out. And as I showed on the other original text in Revelation, and it goes along with this in the video that I did of the the difference between hell and the lake of fire, teaching video of the tract that I hand out. I go through the tract. It's about an hour and a half video. It's amazingly detailed, and you can see on that video how it lines up with this also, how that the sins were divided out of them and injected into the lake of fire. But the people come out. To be injected, you got to go in, like a needle goes in your arm and injects, and they pull the needle out. And Apostle John talked about that he baptizes with water, but one's coming after him, Jesus, who will baptize you with the Holy Spirit, it says in Mark. But in Matthew and Luke, it says, it doesn't just say with the Holy Spirit, but also says, and with fire. So we know that being baptized with the Holy Spirit and with fire isn't one thing. It's two different things. Otherwise, Mark would have included with fire. He didn't. Which shows that the fire baptism is something else, and this is what it is. So Jesus is the one who baptizes in the lake of fire. People go in and come out. Now, let's go back to context. Then back to Revelation 20, 15. Okay. Now, remember, whosoever, ietis, right? Ietis is if any what? Man or thing. And it says, if any man's thing. That would be their works, if any man's works, right? Because even a few verses before, in this Revelation 20, it says, right here, at the top, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, right? So, Strong says that it's at the bottom there, if any man's thing works, it's the works. So, let's get back to the text. Get the bird's eye view. And so, if that's the case, it says, and whatever was not found written, or whatever things were not found written in the book of life, whereas, what was that again? Let's go back to it was found, it was imposed into and found in and extracted from the lake of fire. Those were the three definitions of the original word in Greek to English dictionary. So we need to realize that goes right along. All those definitions go right along with what Apostle Paul describes in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. So we need to take all that context into view. We need to see what these words mean exactly, like we looked up. And there you have it. So I'll read the verse as I found the translation to be. And whoever's things were not found written in the book of life was imposed into, found in, and what was the other one? And retrieved from the lake of fire. And actually it's the lake of refining fire, which goes with exactly what we found in the original Greek text in the video that I made about of revealing the tract that I hand out to people when they get healed by the Holy Spirit, or they get filled with the Holy Spirit, or they get deliverance, or I have a word of prophecy for them. I give them this tract sometimes as the Spirit leads to see what the difference is between heaven and hell. So I pray this will bless you. I'll put a link to that long